It's time for another Gen Con.
Which means we created a couple lists of games that we're excited about.
We created a list of games that are going to be at Gen Con and a couple of games that are going to be demoing at Gen Con.
Here's the list of games that are going to be demoing at Gen Con.
Number 5 on your list is Power Vacuum. It's a trick-taking game. You don't usually like trick-taking games. What's going on?
I know, and it's like, am I a glutton for punishment? I don't think so. I think it's just like, am I really doing it justice by not liking it? Maybe there's that one. I mean, we like the Crew, right? Trick-taking.
I like trick-taking games. You don't like trick-taking.
I.
But you did say that there are dice in it too, which did make me go,
I think there's dice. I'll have to double check that. But what caught my eye was just reading the description. The artwork and everything looked kind of fun. There's like this little control panel center board, and there's like these two pieces that it's like a electrical conductor. So basically, from what I was reading, you win the trick and then gain points, but then there are quote unquote treacherous twists. Things can happen where even losing players can end up with points and yada yada. So it's like hidden agenda goals too. So adding that in there to the trick taking. And then, like I said, sometimes the unique pieces really catch my eye. So to start off your number 5, Moon Bunny.
So when you look at the box, it looks like a really cutesy game. And sometimes we like cutesy games, but the box really makes it look really cutesy. But then reading about it is you're a bunny alchemist, and it's about Asian folklore. You're hopping around the board and collecting different Asian spices and herbs, and you got to make the best elixir of life. But what really caught my attention is from Hot Banana Games. They did Steam Up. And I really like Steam Up. It's that dim sum game where you're collecting it and you actually have the little steamers and you take the little pieces. So I want to see what their follow-up to Steam Up is. So that's why I'm excited about it.
What are some Asian herbs? Like ginseng?
We'll learn after we play Moon Bunny.
Well, no, when you said that, I was like, Asian herbs. Probably ginseng, probably some sort of root, other roots.
Your number 4 is a fun alliteration, Party Panda Pirates. Is it going to be as fun as the name?
So, I think so. I mean, what mainly caught my eye was pandas, right? Like, I like pandas, they're pretty cool. But I needed a party game on the list too, just because, you can't be serious all the time, like all these crunchy games.
Party in the name, not just
it has to have party in the game for it to like really be a party game. No, this one looked pretty cool because it was like panda pirates, and so the board or the island is like a panda head cutout, and then I guess the top of it, I forget what it is, but it's like a pirate hat, so that's a separate board where other things happen too. So theming wise, I was like, oh, okay, they're really going into this, but it's a party game. What also caught my eye was like in the center was like a ship, so like a unique piece or like a tower. And what you do is you take like your panda pirate and you put it in like the cannon hole and it like slides out the back. And you're supposed to do it where your panda slides out the back and then lands on an island. If it lands on an island on the board, then you get like a coin or something. I think BGG called it like a flicking mechanic, but I don't think we've played that before, so that's what like kind of I was like, oh, okay, everything's like really lining up here. This could end up being this looks like a fun party game.
When I was reading the description, what caught my attention was they compared it to Mario Party. And I used to love that game growing up, playing that game all the time with all the mini games. Supposedly, it has a bunch of mini games, so it's not just one giant game. You're playing a bunch of mini games, so it's going to be little different things. So I'll be interested to see how they create those mini games.
So your number 4 is the Paradox Initiative. Good, bad, both?
I'm hoping it's going to be good. There wasn't a whole lot on Board Game Geek, but what was there kind of piqued my interest. So you're mad scientists going around the board, collecting particles and stuff to try to get the most space time, but you're changing the past and the future and things. Kind of made me think of Time Lancers, but it had a much different description. So I really want to see what they're doing with it. It says that there's card drafting, set collection, resource management. We usually like those mechanics in a lot of the games that we play. So I like the sci-fi theme. I want to see if it is like time travel and time dimension, multiverse kind of stuff, and all those mechanics that we like. So I do want to see what it actually is in person. Your number 3 is March of the Ants. What's that all about?
So this is an updated version of its 2015 base game, March of the Ants. What caught my eye was the ant theming, and I don't know why now. I'm sure I've seen other ant games, but going on a tangent real quick, when I was younger, I played a video game called Sim Ant, and Sim Ant was you were an ant and then you had to like build a colony, go forage for food, come back, and just building your colony and
there you go.
And getting rid of the red ants. So this one it's a 4X game that says it plays in less than 90 minutes. So since there were other March of the Ants that have came out after that, I wonder if it's like a kind of the West Kingdom trilogy thing. Like maybe we'll like this one and then we'll go back and play the other ones, or just to see. So tell me about your number 3 festival.
Well, to start off, it's an abstract puzzle game, and I really like abstract puzzle games, even though a lot of the other people that we play with, I don't think you really like abstract puzzle games too much. I'm one of the few, but I do like abstract puzzle games. But this one has a fun theme. It's about fireworks. So you have your grid, and you got to collect the different fireworks and put them in the correct shape in order to fulfill the contracts and get points, all that kind of thing. That's about the gist of it. It doesn't look like it's too deep in theme other than fireworks, but I like the abstract puzzle thing.
And then you pull something, and then it just like... Yeah, it comes filled with those like those poppers. Like,
Number 2 on your list is In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. Tell us about it.
So the science-themed games always like catch my attention, right? Like genotype and photosynthesis and things like that, just because, brings back high school or college or whatever, just learning the science courses. I'm a big fan of like science. When I saw this game, Marie Curie, I was like, okay, I think it's made by Sorry We Are French, which I really love their Icky game. But this one, I was reading about it, science theme already, plays 20 to 30 minutes, which I always think that these, usually when I see them, they play more than that. So I was surprised that it was a little, like it sounded more, but it's less. And the funny or interesting thing was when I looked at BGG and I was looking for mechanisms, it just had one. It just said race. And I was like, that doesn't sound right. So I read about it a little more.
Like
I looked into it.
You got to be the first to discover something?
Yeah. It's all
there are racing games. We're not really big fans of racing games, but
yeah. But one thing was cool was like this one had a cool piece. It was called a cube tower. So overall, I think it was like you get these cards that say like the elements or the cubes that you can put into the cube tower, and then whatever comes out is what you can use. So not necessarily a dice tower where you drop it in and the dice are coming out. It's like you drop it in, maybe one comes out, like you drop 4 in, maybe one comes out, or maybe a completely different one. I don't know how it works, but I was interested in like, oh, I don't think I've seen that before.
I wonder if it'll be like a throwback to the 50s and 60s when they used to have those science sets for kids that you could play with that actually had like radiation, that actually had uranium and stuff like that. Ooh, play with uranium.
Your number 2 is one that we've been keeping an eye on, looking at very closely, Luthier.
Yeah, so we checked it out at Gen Con last year, and it was very early on. They had just announced it, and a very simple design on it, but the mechanics were there, and they were building the mechanics. And at PAX Unplugged last year, they had a much further along, lots of artwork, the mechanics. We talked with Dave Beck, who went over kind of the history of the game and how it evolved to what it is. And now they're going to be doing their Kickstarter at Gen Con. Like, it'll start very soon, might even be going on if you're watching this video right now, so go ahead and check that out. But it'll be going on at Gen Con, so pretty much a finished, polished game that we can actually check out. I don't know if we'll be able to play it or not, but we can definitely watch other people playing a finished game and actually see all the artwork, all the final mechanics, everything that's going on. And I'm really interested to see, like, oh, I remember what it was last year, then what it was at PAX, what we were talked about, where it's going to, and then let's see what it finally actually looks like.
Yeah, when you were talking about like at the interview and everything, one thing that stood out to me is just how much he like really made sure there was historical accuracy into the game too. So that learning part, that like, oh, that's so cool. Like, I'm always a big fan of that.
So if you haven't been watching our other videos, check out some links in the comments below. We've talked about Luthier before, but basically you're a craftsman making the instruments for all these famous musicians and stuff. You're the luthier, that's what it is. You're the craftsman of the instruments. Very interesting, historical, fun theme. And it's also Paverson. They also did Distilled, which was one of my favorite games of last year. So I'm really excited about this one. Your number 1 I was excited about, but I didn't want to have a dual number 1 on the list. I think a lot of people are excited about this. It's CGE. They're probably gonna have the big banners up. You're probably gonna be seeing this all over Gen Con. This is what they're gonna be promoting. Just like last year, they were promoting Lost Ruins. This year it'll be SETI. It's SETI.
It's SETI, yes. So SETI, I mean, once again, staying on brand with me or with us, kind of space themed, right? Or yeah, space themed. You look at the board, there's like a center circular board and like a little galaxy or solar system or whatnot. So I thought that was really cool. I mean, they had multi-use cards. I mean, CGE, we usually are like, now that looks pretty cool. Like every year that we go, they just seemed every year so far to me, there's always been one where I'm like, I'm probably gonna get that. And your number 1 is Chaos Cove. What's so crazy about it?
Yeah, so just like how SETI's probably going to be CGE's one big thing, everybody will probably be wanting to see what Martin Wallace is doing, which he's the designer of Brass Birmingham, which is currently #1 on Board Game Geek, has been for a while. And so I'm interested to see it because it's a worker placement, it's got an animal theme, it has a lower complexity rating on Board Game Geek than Brass Birmingham does. And that animal theme kind of makes it a little bit lighter, kind of easier to take the edge off of those complicated games. And it has one thing that I think you'll really like, which there are 16 unique characters all with their own abilities. So I'm just interested to see how the mechanics actually work, how heavy of a game it actually is, and how much the theme and the mechanics go together as far as the animal design of it and everything, all of it.
Now, I didn't come across this, but as you're describing it to me, what's coming to mind is like Everdell, and then the one that came out similar to Everdell, the Far Shore, where that like, maybe it wasn't as crunchy, you know, kind of like that, but that's what it sounded like. And animals.
I think it's more of a, you're supposed to be protecting the kingdom kind of thing. So Chaos Cove, so you're like privateers protecting the kingdom, and just worker placement, you got to take certain actions. And on the description, it said semi-co-op, but didn't really go into detail as far as semi-co-op until they're eliminated, or semi-co-op you have to work together, but then one player rises above. I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen. So that's why I really want to check it out and really dig deep while we're there and figure out what the game is about. And that was a list of games that we're most excited about that are demoing at Gen Con.
What'd you think? What games that are demoing are you excited about? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're going to be at Gen Con and you come across this, go ahead and say hi. We've given away pins and a bunch of other goodies. And as always, if you're enjoying this content, please like this video and subscribe to our channel.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
I'm Kenny, and go party like a board gamer.